And we're live.
We're live. Afternoon as, or I keep saying afternoon when it's the evening. I think it's because it's the lighter nights, isn't it? Yeah,
Oh, it is now.
past 6
Yeah,
o'clock
7:30.
I see is evening. And do we still, I suppose we better introduce in case someone's joined us for the first time. But this is episode 4, isn't it, of Short Convos. I'm JC Cashman, Warrior of Light.
And I'm Asmiralai, still working on the AKA.
And this is a recording of our conversations. Okay, I've been getting a lot of positive feedback from people, and this week already, only like 4 episodes into it, saying they're enjoying it. So do give us that feedback if you are. Comment, share, speak to us, message, whatever, whichever way. But how's your week been, Az?
My week's been all right. It's you know, this is just the new normal now, so nothing is really. It's a bit hard to when you say week on week. How's your week been? It's kind of all blurred into one thing at the minute. Everything's fine, but nothing's really changing. I guess that's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Yours?
If you'd asked me at the start of the week, I would have had a very different answer. But right now, I'm good. I feel a little bit tired. I'm not allowed to say that. I feel a little bit drained, but just because I've just done a load of classes and everything. But that aside, Monday, I just didn't have a really good start to the week, just in my own headspace. And then by the end of the day, I'd sorted it out pretty much. But yeah, I've got a few things I noted that I thought we could chat about, convo about. But the first thing,
the lead because you had quite a few notes for this week. So
yeah, prepped. The first thing, I don't know if you can relate to it at all, but Laura and I, my wife Laura and I, just had a convo about it. Is short-term memory is really bad at the moment. I don't know if you can relate to that. I don't know if it's the situation. Well, I'm pretty sure it has to be the situation. I just think there's just so much noise at the moment, not just having 3 kids, but there's just so much noise. Maybe it is that. The short-term memory, short-term concentration is really tricky at the moment. You've got to really hone in to stay on task on something.
So, hold on. Are we saying memory or are we saying attention span?
Well, for me, it's a bit of both, really. It's like I can quite easily start a task, get distracted. It must be kids. Get distracted, and then come back and start another task. Get into that task, realise I didn't finish the other task. As I'm about to do the other task, get distracted, come back, start a third task, suddenly realising I didn't do the last target. So when I start that one, it's like jumping around. But Lauren's actually short-term memory. She said something to me walking into the kitchen, and then I was like, Lauren, what did you say? And she was like, what did I say? I don't know. And it's like that.
Well, they say that multitasking isn't a thing and that we shouldn't do it, that we should actually just focus on one thing at a time. And I think now, especially when you have kids, like you're saying, you don't have a choice. Like you have to multitask because otherwise, like you said, when you said Poppy comes over and needs your attention, and you were saying last week that you're trying to not just say, not now, I'm busy. So then you're forced to kind of pause what you're currently doing, go to that. And then I guess your brain just doesn't pick up where it left off quite as well.
Yeah, but you've not been having, maybe it's just us. So you've not been having any short term.
Not that I've noticed, but maybe it's just because no one's made me remember anything.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. We're in such a not a boring routine, but the days are all pretty much the same. That there's not been a moment where I've gone, oops, I forgot to do this or do that, because we're basically doing the same stuff. Not that we're doing nothing, but it's just very samey.
Yeah. Oh, completely. It wasn't in the notes, but we're completely off track here. I like it when I get a new experience. We had a swarm of honeybees, come into our garden today. They're pitched up, but you can't see it. I wouldn't be able to show you in a tree now. But the neighbour came over. He's actually got beehives, and the neighbour came over next door, and he said, "Oh, you got a swarm of bees," because he obviously knows what he's talking about and must have heard them or seen them. He's like, "Could I come round, social distance, and have a look?" I was like, "Yeah, cool, come around the back." And literally, the corner of our garden, it's funny enough where all the bonsais are, was just a huge swarm of bees. And he's like, oh, they're completely passive at this time. You know, while they're swarming, there's no issue or threat at all. And but yeah, he reckons it was a small swarm, like 6,000 or something. And then they all congregated into a tree. And he said, oh, they're starting to create a hive now.
Wow.
And then they've jumped from one branch to another branch to another branch, and he's like, oh, when they actually create a hive, hopefully it's a position he can get to, because then he'd be able to transfer it to one of his actual hives boxes and look after them there. But yeah, bit of random. I've never seen a hive of bees face to face like that before. It was fascinating.
Yeah, that's really cool. In America, we had a tree house where my dad used to live, and we went up there for the first time in a year, and we're sitting in there. I was really young at the time. We're playing, and then you hear bees, and I've turned, and the entire wall, and I mean the entire wall, had been turned into a beehive, and we were basically sitting in a massive beehive. But again, it was at that time of year where they're passive, and they didn't really, I guess, even notice us being so close. They didn't seem too bothered. But yeah, it's quite surreal to see it.
So bringing it back to a topic of conversation, have you seen anything awesome this week, or different, or new in the mundane of the Groundhog Day?
Have I seen anything awesome? I really don't want to say no, but I really think my answer is going to be no. Yeah, I cannot think of anything that's stood out, which is probably a bad thing. It means I'm probably not
exploring enough. Yeah. All right. Next week. So you got to tell us something that was new next week. Now I'm going to put that.
Or it's my short-term memory loss, right?
What are you talking about? New experience. I'm going to write that in. Okay, right. I've been Tuesday nights. I do, because this is recorded on a Wednesday this week, isn't it? We've normally posted on a Tuesday night. I've been finishing our Fight Club, our champion development training, with some motivational videos. There's a quite famous dream one, or I know it's like clips of films put together and clips of different people talking over. I did Arnold Schwarzenegger's 6 rules to success, laws of success, and a few different ones. I did one yesterday. Eric Thomas? You got to want it as much as you want to breathe.
Yes.
And there's a great bit in that where he's and it just seems to be relating at the moment, which is cry if you have to, but cry because you're pushing on, not because you're stopping. And it really that really resonated this week. It's like you can see people crying around you. It's like, yeah, cry, man. Cry because you're pushing yourself to the limit, pushing yourself to continue, even though you're so down and financially in the dumps, emotionally, everything else. But at least cry because you're doing something about it. Don't just curl up in a corner and cry and everything. So is there any motivational stuff that you've caught? So yeah, that Arnold Schwarzenegger one, if anyone's not caught that, I think there's a longer speech that they do and then a shorter one you can YouTube it for. But anyone particularly you turn to motivation wise?
It's interesting you bring this up. So I was speaking to my wife Anne the other day, because she can't stand
you spoke
all
Tam?
this stuff.
You speak?
We spoke. Once a week we sit down and we speak to each other. Any more than that and it would be a divorce. But she can't stand all this motivational stuff. It drives her mad.
Really?
So like yeah. So if I need to get her off the
surprise.
sofa and she's like being lazy or whatever it is, I play a motivational tape, not to inspire her, but because it drives her so mad she'll leave the room. And it gets her up. It doesn't resonate with her. She's not found a voice or a way of it being presented to her where it resonates, which I find really interesting, because I'm all up for it. I like it, but it doesn't click with her. So personally, for me,
is that going? So you're sticking with that? Is that a cultural thing? Do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, she's, for anyone who doesn't know, she's German. And maybe they're a bit more or a bit less, I don't want to say the word dreamy, but they take things very literally and they do things by systems. That seems to be a thing around them in general. So anything that's not very grounded, or that you have to kind of use your mind, struggling to explain it without sounding like I'm insulting the entire country, which is not my intention. But they have a dry humor, and they're very to the point with things. So I don't know if it's just a bit. I'll have to ask. I'll have to.
Because these motivational things are very American, aren't they? The majority of the films are American films and everything else, and you know, they're very much go America. But I have found personally a lot of inspiration, a lot of energy, like the Irish Open this year, building up to that, and the British, but the Irish Open songs, for instance. I was putting on songs. They weren't necessarily motivational songs, but they were just songs that were getting everyone motivated. And I was turning that to motivate myself as a coach, to then motivate the fighters. And I've seen firsthand how that works for people as well. Not everyone needs it, and everyone needs it in different ways. But anyway, you were saying your turn to the motivation.
Yeah, I agree with you, or I can see out where you're coming from with the songs. So there's a lot of songs I listen to that just, if I'm needing to get myself into gear or get myself going, I know for a fact I can put one of 5 songs on, and it gets me back on track if I've fallen off the rails in any way. One example is Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac. So if I'm having a day where I'm struggling to aim myself, so to put myself on a task and stick with it, that song, there's something about it where if I can put headphones on and just listen to it and kind of meditate to it for 3 minutes, I come out the other side and I'm like, right, let's do what needs to be done. Speeches wise, there's not a lot. I used to listen to a guy called Elliot Hulse, and he was a big motivation for me. He was a strength and conditioning coach, one of the first kind of talk to the camera YouTube guys. And he did a lot of videos, very much directed to men and helping men kind of find direction with things like their careers and getting in good shape and all the rest of it.
Getting your balls together.
Yeah, what was his line? He had a real famous line. His line was "breathe into your balls," and it was basically like get back in touch with your manhood and what it is to be a man, and then that will guide you, and you'll figure the rest out from there. And kind of getting back to basic instincts with all of that stuff. So, yeah, I like the motivational stuff, but I do know what Anne means in the sense that I guess different things resonate for different people. So you'd show the same speech to 10 different people, and some would say, I don't get anything from that. And others will go and, build mountains. So I guess it's just the frequencies and the way people like to absorb information.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Right, what's the first thing you want to do when all of this is over? I didn't ask this last week, did I? I think I had it written down, but didn't ask it.
Talked about this. No,
we spoke about fear in that, didn't we? So yeah, I kind of asked this. So the first thing you want to do when it's over is grand or minuscule as it might be.
Well, there's like a 2-part answer to it for me. One, I want to do my normal day completely out of the house. So I want to go work out of the house. I still have to do work, but I want to go sit not in my home. I want to go to a coffee shop or whatever and just do admin away from my desk for one day. I want to go teach my classes. We were speaking to a friend of ours, Sean McCarthy, today. And like him, I want to punch someone in the face and I want to get punched in the face. And then that'll be a good day. That's part one. And then part two, I want to go and completely detach from humanity. So I want to go somewhere very secluded, very off-grid, and just spend a few days just completely resetting, full reset. I imagine you're a similar.
Yeah, I want to do part two first. My first thing, and it gives me incentive to put the camper back together. So I've dismantled a 1971 1600 camper engine. That gives me an incentive to do that. So I want to reassemble that and drive to Cornwall, go to Luke's Island with the girls, because we were going to actually do that on the weekend, literally when we went into COVID. So I've just got a call in to go to that. And I think it'd be a nice. I've got a thing about resetting and everything else, and I would like to do that. And then likewise, just crack on with the days and the classes and the events and everything else. So yeah, exactly the same, but probably the other way around.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be need when all this is over. I think everyone should be aware of this, that there is going to be need to switch it all off and switch it back on again. I think that's like the first lesson if you're going to become an IT tech is, did you switch it off and did you switch it back on? And I think that's what everyone's going to need to do with their whole lives. Because I think if you try to just fumble out of this back into what normality was, you're going to fall back into a lot of old routines, and we're going to fall back into a lot of the problems that got us here in the first place. So I think as a world, as a universe, we need to take that time when all of this does go back to have a reset, and it's going to look different for everyone. But I feel that that's going to be necessary for myself, that we need to go back to zero and then climb back up.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm relating to how I've been feeling this week, and just different people we talk to, and different things you read from different and all different walks of life. Like I'm feeling physically really good, because I'm probably training personally more, delivering the classes as pre-recorded and doing more classes in the sense where I wouldn't have another instructor leading, those kind of things. I'm probably feeling fitter and stronger than I've been for a long time. Not that I have been unfit, but I haven't, for a better word, needed to be fit. I've been off the journey of needing to be fit to beat an opponent for a while. I've been fit for my purpose of life, kind of thing. But like I was, sparring with C last night, shadow sparring. I felt really strong. I felt really good. I did like that. However, I have at the start of the week, and I have bounced off different people this, found at this current stage I'm questioning what you do, just as like whole grand scale of things. You're just questioning, and I think a few people have got caught in that, where there's been so much downtime to a degree, it gives you an opportunity to question things, and question everything basically. Have you found that, noticed that at all?
Yeah, there was a really good speaker on this. I'm going to have to get his name up for next week. I'll put it in the notes to remind me. And he said that your mind is a bit like an email inbox. And when you've got the normal life going on, stuff is just coming in and you're not opening and processing all these emails. It's just thoughts and ideas and all of that. And like you said, now we've got all this downtime and all this headspace. And I think a lot of us are going through, for a better word, the junk mail. And we're pulling up all this stuff that's been pushed down and has been kind of put aside because we don't have time for it right now. And you're questioning literally everything, from why do I exercise? Why do I do this exercise? Why do I do this for work? What is even money? What is the food that I'm eating? Why do I go to the shops? Like everything comes up for question because you've just got the time to do it. Whereas before it would be like, I really don't have time to ponder the meaning of going to Sainsbury's.
Yeah, no, I've really noticed that this week. And I also noticed this week, I had to write it down, is do you talk to yourself? I talk to myself. Not openly, outwardly. I'd curse or I talk to myself when I'm training and push myself harder and those kind of things. But I have to a degree, I think I've got a split personality or a split self. And I talk to myself. I don't know why I've written it down, but I think I've written down, is it an evolutional thing? Is it evolution, that kind of thing? Or is it like a necessity, like a talking to, what do you make of that? Just chatting your head.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the things that separates us from the animals is our ability to have that internal dialogue. Now, obviously, we don't know if dogs are talking to themselves and thinking about these things, but I think it's where a lot of creativity stems from, is our ability to kind of look inwards for things and find them and then express them out. But I've always had an internal dialogue on things. And I'm sure most people to some extent do, or maybe, I don't know if I'd call it a dialogue. I don't know if there's a voice coming back at me.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly putting stuff.
Kill him.
I'm voicing things into there, and then stuff in one way or another is getting regurgitated out or getting processed.
Yeah.
Do you find that you talk to yourself all the time, or that you're talking in your head?
Talking in my head. It's not It's not, but like I can be teaching. I've done it on gradings where I'm marking a grading, I'm calling the commands and everything. And at the same time, I'm still giving exactly the same attention, everything. At the same time, I'm talking to myself about what I have to organize and have ready for the next group next.
Right.
It's like on a level, it's like in a different compartment. But I've done it sometimes and the wires get crossed, and instead of saying back leg coming forward front kick, you turn around and say, okay, next group's got to say. It's like, what? You come out with something.
I guess it's how when you've got certain things that you've done so many times that it's almost autopilot, that's when you've got the freedom to split your brain, because there must be so little for us at this point with things like a grading. It must require such little computing power of our brain, because it must be so pre-programmed in terms of the system that we have and how we go through things. So then I guess, like a computer, you've only got so much CPU that you can use. And if there's available memory, then it's going to be able to do another task. And then the wires get crossed, I guess, when something's a little out of whack or not as reinforced as that is. Because I'd say places where I think a lot is when I'm driving. Because driving, especially if it's a familiar route, it's a very automatic experience now. Even if you're driving a manual car, you don't really think about it anymore. So it provides you with that headspace.
I remember you reminded me of a conversation I had with someone else, actually. You're saying about driving. Do you have journeys that are automated as well? Because
your dojo coming up to you, because you, for anyone, no one would know, you live about 26 miles away on a drive, and at that drive, I am not conscious of anything.
What are you talking about? But is that not a little bit scary? Like you do a 26 half an hour, 45-minute journey, and you get there and you don't remember the journey.
Yeah, it's crazy. I couldn't tell you if you said, tell me about a couple of people you saw along the way. I know I drove past people. I know I probably looked at them, but I couldn't tell you what coat they were wearing or.
But that's where Lauren is so different. Like we could walk through an airport and all I've picked up on is I want a chocolate croissant. That's all I've probably has gone through my head. And we'll sit down. She'd be like, "Oh, do you see that couple? They were the couple behind the third couple that were in front of the ones with the blue jacket when we parked." And it's like, yeah, okay.
Now I don't know if that's a male-female thing, because I know, take for example the way men shop for things. We know what we're going to go buy. We know where we're going to go buy it. We go, we buy it, we come out, we leave. Whereas women don't do that. Women will look around. Women don't know exactly what they're looking for, or they're looking for one thing and they look for something else. So I don't know if it's just the way, and this is where that whole thing maybe of women multitasking and men not.
Is that
women
down?
Seem to take in the details.
Is that down to
have a wider spread?
Evolution of, for instance, just taking it to rawness, like a female would look after the cubs and everything else, and would like look around. Is everyone all right? Is everyone all right? So whereas the male would be like, I've got to go home, got to go eat. That's a bit, so. It's not right, but
but this. I mean, now you're getting on a real sticky topic, aren't you? Because I would agree with that 100%. That is an evolution, that women are more nurturing because they just, they make the babies and they raise the babies. Evolutionary speaking, you look at any animal in the, animal kingdom, that's the way it seems to work. And the men go hunt, provide, and they have a very focused, drilled in way of looking at things. They do one thing at a time, they go do it, and then they bring it back. I don't know. But now you say that, and it's like as if you're trying to put women in a box, or put men in a box, or you're trying to, it then becomes what people would call sexist. I don't know if it is, because I don't mean it insulting. I don't think it's insulting that a woman is more nurturing than a man. It's just.
It goes back to like the first week, don't it? I don't really like people. So that's where they,
let them think what they want.
Right. This one, so you saw my notes. Are you happy with me just firing away with what?
Yeah, please do.
So This one is going to be hard to explain. It might not come across. It might just be a load of waffle. But let's give it a try. I'm not talking about it. I don't know if there's a word or a bit of psychology to it or something. But it's the only word I can kind of give is mirroring. I can remember you saying it might have even been that guy you mentioned, that motivational guy that said about 3 people you meet in life, one's this and that. I'm going to say mirroring. I'm not talking about, like, you could walk into a shop right now. You can't because the shop's closed. But you could walk up to someone right now, and you could scream and shout at them, and instigate them to scream and shout. Like, you could go driving, couldn't you? You could cause a bit of road rage, and then they would get road rage straight back at you. Okay. And then you could also just be kind to someone and just say, like, thank you to someone, and they would, or let them go and they would say thank you to you. So I'm not going down the route because they did studies where, you know, you could walk into a bar. They sent a guy into a bar, there was a plant who wouldn't say anything, and he'd just sit there and have a drink and he'd go home. And then they sent another guy into the bar who would talk to the woman at the bar, who would then speak to the guy at the bar, and by the time he walked out, he had a relationship and a new business opportunity. So it's not that, and I suppose it's a little bit more on a personal and if not relationship level. I'm relating it more between myself, partners like Lauren and I, husband and wife, that there are times, this is what I'm getting at, where I'm not wishing to put it in a negative way. They say, oh, you're doing something, you're behaving a certain way. Let's say it's a negative way, but you yourself, me myself, feel exactly the same thing the other way back. So am I making any sense at all? Probably not.
Kind of. An example would be great if you think you could give one.
That's what I might have to come back to with it. Right. Might have lost a thread here. Yeah. So it's like saying, this is not the best example, but like saying you're just being an arse, you're just being obnoxious or something. And it's like,
and you're aware of it.
No, that's the thing. No.
Right. Okay.
You don't
but someone's
feel
pointing
you
it
are,
out.
and they're pointing out, but you're aware that they are. Have you ever experienced?
Obnoxious.
Yeah, but they're probably in the same position.
I understand.
They're not. So it's like a kind of synchronicity. It's a kind of dual state of being that neither of you are accepting that you are, or realizing that you are having the effect on the other of.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced it?
Yeah. So it's the magnets, isn't it? A plus and a plus, and they reject each other. They push each other away. So
yeah,
you're thinking, well, you're being a dick, and they're thinking, no, you're being a dick. And then there's absolutely no middle ground in that, because then it's just your complete polar on each other. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Why are we discussing this?
I just wrote that down. It's like,
I'm trying to figure out where we can go with it, because I do understand that's a very strange experience when you have it with someone.
It's even at a deeper level of just saying, oh, I'm going to have to write the example down when it happens next. It's a bit like a dream. You know, when you come out of a dream, you're like, oh yeah, you lose it. I must have written it down and then not written enough notes to follow up on it. So that might have to be a follow-up digest on that one. Or if anyone's watching,
what you were saying about the 2 people walking into the bar and having 2 very different experiences, I'd say a lot of people would say that's law of attraction, and you get out what you put in. So if you go in with negative energy, or you go in quiet and not, wanting to keep to yourself, that's exactly what you're going to get from it. But if you go in open and speaking, then that's what you're going to attract.
This isn't what I'm talking. This is almost on a deeper level of your subconscious. And what I'm trying to get at is being able to control that would create better situations, avoid situations unnecessarily, and better control for opportunity as well, if that makes sense. I suppose that's what I'm getting at with it, is being able to understand. Do you remember what I said about, do you remember the thing, I'm sure it was your motivational mate, who said about 3 people that you're going to bump into to life?
Yeah, he says about the angel, the mirror, and the crystal ball. The angel brings you a gift. So they bring you, they come at just the right time, and they bring you something in your life where you're like, oh, I'm just so glad you came into my life when you did, because I just needed whatever that was. The mirror, they show you something about yourself that you either like or you don't like, and they make it very glaringly obvious. And then you have to kind of deal with that internal dialogue of being shown that person. And sometimes you like what you see, and sometimes you really dislike what you see. And you might end up, this is what I think you're talking about, you might end up taking it out on the person, but they're actually just reflecting back on you what they're seeing in you.
That's exactly what this, where I was going with this.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's what it is, where someone, let's say, I will make an example now. Someone is being lazy, and it's winding you up that they're being lazy. So you kind of, maybe you call them on it, and you say, why are you being so lazy? Why are you just sitting there? And then they'll say something to you along the lines of, well, why did you stay in bed all morning and not get up till 2 o'clock? And then straight away you're on the defensive, because you're like, no, this isn't about me. This is about you. But they've already put that mirror up to your behavior. So then not only are you angry at them for what they're doing, but they've then made you defensive in yourself because of what they've said about you.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm getting at is it's just being aware of these things. I suppose I wrote it down as something that I want to try and fix. A bit like what I said with the girls, of just saying, oh, wait a minute. It's like, I don't want to, it doesn't feel productive to be having those conversations.
I think partly what you're getting onto is a book we both really love, which is the Chimp Paradox. And maybe those moments where you get into your chimp mind, which is the part of you that gets a bit defensive and kind of just puts their foot down on something that, like you said, when your logical mind kicks back in later in the day, you go, that was just not a productive way. I've spent an hour thinking about that, churning it over and talking about it, but really I could have been doing this, that, and the other. But at that moment, your logical mind just wasn't anywhere to be found, because you went full chimp mode.
Kind of on the similar kind of vein, but slightly off of it. Being a man of science, as you said, if it was not last week, the week before, when we were talking about ghosts or whatever it is, what do you make of like universe synchronicity? That's the only way I can sort of explain it. Like, for instance, you think of someone that you need to call. At that exact moment, the phone rings and you answer it, and it's them. Surely you've experienced that. And like, for instance, the day my dad passed away, Cece was going to Brighton with him out for the day or whatever it was. She was going to go to Brighton. So Lauren and I, we decided to tell the girls, it happened late the early hours of the morning, tell the girls, and Lauren was like, well, I'll still take you to Brighton. I don't think I went, but it's all a little bit hazy, to be honest. No, I think Lauren took, was I saying Daisy? Cece, to Brighton. And they went into the Lego store, and she had like 5 or whatever it was to buy some Lego. And she went up to the counter and she gave, to buy it. And the guy behind the counter went, oh, we've been waiting for someone to come in. And he reached down to the counter. He pulled up a big, like, just random box of Lego. He says, what we do is we take all of the pieces off of the display, and we can no longer, resell them. But we wait for someone to come in that's special, and we give it to them. And we want you to have this. And she was like, well, I don't have enough money. And they're like, no, you can just have it. And like the synchronicity of that, like Lauren turned to him and said, you don't realize what you've done there on a day for this girl, and the synchronicity of that. Yeah. So what a man of science who what do you make of all of that?
See, a story like that to me is a beautiful thing. And I would hate to ever say anything that would take away from it in any way for anyone who heard that story. Because I think, especially now with the world we're living in, we need stories like that. And we need moments like that because they're what give us hope and they can kind of re-energize someone. Like what Lauren said to that person at that shop, you have no idea what you've done for this girl in that moment. He doesn't, or she doesn't, whoever the shopkeeper was. But it will carry so much weight and so much power. So I don't know if I'd even want to go there with something like it. I guess if I was to.
All right, take a telephone call then. Take a telephone call. So I think I've got to call Az, and you've had that, haven't you? And then the phone rings.
Yeah, with you all the time.
So yeah, explain that then.
I guess if I was to explain it, or if I was to even try, I don't want it to sound like I'm trying to put it down as if it can't happen.
You dick.
But I guess if I was going to go anywhere, it would be statistics, wouldn't it? That for every time that has happened, there's been 10 times where it hasn't. So every time it did all hit the right mark and they called the right day on the right place, there's been 10 days where they didn't call on the right time, didn't call in the right place. But those ones don't register with us because we don't notice the specialness, because there's nothing special about it not happening. And it's
so is it a perspective?
Yeah, I guess it is, because it's a very special feeling when let's say your back's against the wall, you've had a bad day, and then the phone lights up and it's the one name that you want to see, and you answer the phone and it fills you with that happiness. That's going to stick with you. But when you're having a bad day and the phone rings and it's the person you don't want to talk to, that's just another bad day that you just want to, write off from your memory. So I don't know, that's if I was going to go down the science route, that's where I'd go with it, is I'd say it's statistics. But I wouldn't want to go there with it for the very reason that I think moments like that are beautiful. I don't want to tread on them by saying, well, it was just good statistics, you were just lucky on that day. And that's exactly what people would say it's not, is that it's not luck. It's a special moment, not something as simple as a numbers game.
So in my mind, what you're saying is your car accident is just a statistical thing. Like, for instance, let's say you ride a motorbike and you pull up to a junction and you pull out as you should, but someone blindsides you. We're talking like probably 100th of a second of an opportunity that's caught you, that person. If you had stunned that brush one more time in the morning with your toothpaste, if you had just drunk water for just filled up another water, all of these things wouldn't have put you there at that point where that person didn't look and blindsided you. So you're saying constantly, all the time, you're missing opportunities, and then it's just the one that catches you. That's how you wake up in the morning, or you don't wake up because you don't sleep, and you just look out your window and all you see is green numbers.
So it's not that it's that, because that makes it sound like we have no control over it and that it's just what's going to happen to you is going to happen to you. But I think although they are numbers and everyone falls into those numbers, we all have a way of influencing what the result is going to be. So for example, if you don't want to be one of those numbers that gets lung cancer and dies, you can greatly reduce the chance of being that number by not smoking, by exercising regularly. If you don't want to be one of the numbers who dies on a motorbike, obviously the easiest way is don't ride a motorbike. But if you're going to, you look twice before you go at junctions. You take the extra second. You wear all the protective gear. So what
if that extra second caused you to crash?
Yeah, but that's the thing about it, isn't it? And this is what I like about statistics. It's unbiased. So sometimes, the numbers are bad. Sometimes, your number is you got hit and you died. Sorry, it's not. It hasn't got any emotional attack. It's not poetic and beautiful as much as it's not evil. It's completely without feeling, without emotion. Because this is my issue when people talk about God. And the argument against God for a lot of people is, well, how could a God allow people to starve in Africa? How could a God allow coronavirus if there's this great God? But I think if you want to believe in God, you have to believe the same way that I do about my numbers. Is it's not got an emotional attachment. No one's sitting up there going, feeling like being a bit of a dick today. Let's kill a bunch of folk. As much as he's not saying, oh, I'm going to give Tom over here a break and he's not going to get hit by that car when he leaves his house. But tomorrow, I might hit him with the car. I'll see how I'm feeling. So
okay,
it's that unbiased.
Could you finish off with a non-science experience that can't be explained then?
In what that I've had in my own life?
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm sure I could. We're going to have to, you know what, with certain things, we're going to have to do a bit of pre-prep for this so that we actually have something on the day.
No,
something that I can't
want to
explain.
watch the next one, aren't they, for it?
That's true. Let me see if I can get you one today, though, because that would be nice.
What did your mum and sister say about you having a baby?
I don't know if you saw this. So I just posted the title and obviously the clip on Facebook, and my mum commented within about 2 seconds with, yes!
I did see that.
And I said, did you watch it? Again, the same question I asked her last time she saw something on the podcast and reacted. She went, no, I didn't watch it. I just liked the title. I was like, okay, maybe try listening to it.
Should we invite her on as a guest?
I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea. I think if my mum comes on, then Poppy has to come on for an episode.
Okay.
I mean, that would about even it out in terms of things. Now, you've distracted me. Come on, a miraculous moment that cannot be explained.
There's like life itself. They say, I went through a phase of really enjoying like science and astronomy. No, which one's astrology? Which one's Gemini and all of Gemini? And not that one. The actual stars.
Astronomy is stars. Astrology is...
Yeah, astronomy. I went through a phase of astronomy and all of that. I can remember either reading or hearing something where someone was trying to quantify in a layman's term how life, the statistical chance of our life existing in the grand, like trying to put it into a grand kind of scale. And he said, or she said, or whatever I read, said that if you think of baking a cake, or bread's probably a better example, the bread won't rise unless you have the ingredients right. So you only have to add a little too much or take away a little too much and it wouldn't rise. It'd just be like a soggy mess, wouldn't it? I think people can relate to that. And he said, so let's say bread, how many ingredients in an average bit of bread? Half a dozen or something? What's that? G&T? Yeah, I think I have a G&T. You want G&T as? Yeah.
I will join you on a G&T.
Yeah, so however many, there's half a dozen, isn't there, ingredients in bread. Someone correct us. He said, if you took those ingredients of life and multiplied it by like trillions of trillions, that's how many ingredients there are in life on this planet. And he said, if you change one of those ingredients by 0.00000, like a trillion noughts one, if you change any of those ingredients, that many ingredients by just that amount, then life wouldn't exist. Yeah, that's how thing it is. So I'm getting the impression that's how you look at life. It's just a pure chance that we are here in that sense. So give me the soul.
Although it is a pure chance, but it's that number that for me makes it beautiful. It's beautiful that it's so miraculously unbelievable, that it's such a small chance and that it still actually happened. You could, like, even just look at our lives. The fact that me and you are here and having this conversation today, think of the number of things that could have changed that would make this not happen. Because off the top of my head, I could think of 1,000 things that could have happened in the last hour that would mean me and you were not sitting here right now having this conversation.
I'll throw it in then. So, like this whole law of attraction and everything else, I have a theory, a kind of way of thinking. Like, I believe Lauren and I, as partners, as soul partners, were meant to be. We were meant to meet. But like with what we were saying, if one of us made one different decision in life, all of that could be, the whole course could be completely different. If there wasn't a world war, thanks, Sam. Cheers. If there wasn't a world war, we wouldn't have met, because her nan and granddad wouldn't have met because of the war, because like he was a refugee from Germany, and so they wouldn't have had her mum, wouldn't have met shit. So just one quite major thing like that. You know, you could come up with endless things. But I also believe that even if, like, for instance, if she didn't come to the club to do martial arts, I wouldn't have met her. If I was a martial arts instructor, I wouldn't have met her. But I do believe that if she had stayed up in London, let's say, in the business world, and I had been a business person, I reckon I would have met her. I kind of believe there is some kind of, what's the word, synchronicity or whatever it is, that we were meant to be.
Destiny.
Yeah.
There's some fate to it. Yeah, and I'm sure that, and this is it, right? I'm sure, let's say there's a bazillion, gazillion universes where one of those things change in each one, and you get a slightly different reality.
I've got a good thing that throws people out on the beaches. When it's like, again, from the whole science thing, is if you pick if you pick up a grain of sand on the beach, better at night when all the stars are out, and they say, okay, that's our star, that one single grain of sand. They estimate our universe is all of the grains of sand on our planet is a star times by a trillion. That's how big they estimate it could be.
But that almost takes it the other way in terms of the chance of us being here, because the universe is way beyond our comprehension of how big it is. Like, we say it's big, but we can't comprehend how big it is. So the chance that there are other planets, very likely, that have life, very likely, that might even literally have another JC Cashman that looks like you, talks like you, has your entire life with maybe one minuscule change, very likely, including, you know, businessman JC Cashman who married businesswoman Lauren Cashman. You know, that's probably out there, and that then sounds like you're being wish-washy with it, that it's, you know, oh, okay, multiple realities, but the universe is, like you said, massive. I think it's a beautiful thing. This is when people say to me, you know, how can you not believe in this? How can you not believe in that? I'm like, because there's enough beauty in the real world for me to be absorbed in my entire life. I find all this stuff and the fact that everyone is what they are and everything's landed the way it is beautiful enough. I don't need a man sitting on a cloud shooting thunderbolts to make it any more beautiful. I think the numbers are beautiful. That sounds ridiculous. The numbers.
Look at that wooden table. Look at the rock. It is beautiful. I'm gonna log out there and I'm gonna just see beauty in everything. I'm gonna
that's the way to see life.
Look at that shit. It is one of a kind.
Do you know what had to happen for you to see that shit right there? To smell that shit. You appreciate every moment of it, because it doesn't get better than this.
You know, next time someone's a dick, like a real arse or that, or, you know, you've got reason to hate, I'm going to turn around and say, I see the beauty in this. And I'm going to rattle off, because I quite often like to do those kind of things where you say something completely unexpected and it just stops people talking. And it's like...
Pattern interruption. That's a useful thing. Yeah, just completely spin them round the other way around and then leave them just going... Huh?
Yeah, so I've run over there. Well, I was going to say child or dog, but that's just not nice to think, is it? Okay, maybe I'll run over there, remote controlled car, and they're going ape shit, and I'll be like, you know what? The chances of that happening, ponder on the grains of sand.
Well, look, I'll leave us with a quote that I've been using. That this will be useful for everyone who's struggling at the minute to find the beauty in anything, because for a lot of people right now, life just feels a bit crap. So this helps me when you
But
do get a nice moment.
It's just a statistic. Crap's a statistic.
It's just a number. But what you can say is, if this isn't good living, I don't know what is. So like I had my morning coffee this morning and I sat out and it was a sunny day and the sun was on my face. I was drinking my coffee and I said to myself, if this isn't good living, I don't know what is. And it's a nice way to just remember that, life's all right, even if it is just ones and zeros.
On the bright side of life.
That's going to have to be our intro music at this
rate. Shut up, Brian. I need to educate the girls on Monty Python. I don't think they've all seen that. We've gone through Gladiator and those in this lockdown. Shawshank Redemption. Yeah.
I think now's
Monty
the time.
Python's a visit.
Monty Python marathon.
Yeah.
Education.
For sure. Cool. Always a pleasure, dude.
It's been good. We'll catch up again soon.
Later.
Cheers, guys. Bye.